I lost my memory saving a female CEO, and she married me out of gratitude. But she always loved her long-lost first love. Now that he is back, she threw $5 million at me, demanding a divorce. Just as I was about to beg her to stay, my memory suddenly flooded back. Turns out I am the sole heir to a massive empire with a wealthy fiancé from an arranged childhood marriage. Right then, Yunxi handed me the divorce papers. Sign it. This is enough for a lifetime. She did not even look back as she rushed out. Signing the papers without hesitation, I dialed a number. Hey, do you know who I am? Before I could finish, the woman on the other end snapped, Are you crazy? How would I know who you are? I smirked. You do not even recognize my voice. Did you forget who calls the shots, or are you just getting cocky? The woman paused for 2 seconds, then shrieked, Shihao, you are alive. Her tone quickly turned sour. 2 years without a single word. I thought you ran off with some wild woman. I did not bother replying. Instead, I ordered, Sent you my location. Pick me up. The next morning, as I stepped out of the villa, a dazzling diamond encrusted Ferrari pulled up. A gorgeous, blonde, blue-eyed woman stepped out and rushed to hug me. I coldly pushed her aside, walked over, and opened the car door. Liu Boqi stamped her foot in frustration. You heartless man, I flew all night from America, and this is how you treat me. I glanced at her and said flatly, Let's go. Then I looked back at the place I called home for 2 years. I never belonged here, just like Yunxi never belonged to me. I spent 2 years as her punching bag, but now that my memory is back, it is time to find out who caused my accident. 2 days later, Yunxi returned to the villa and locked herself in her bedroom. The information was wrong. That man was not her first love. She had traveled for nothing. Just then her maid knocked and handed her the papers. Ma'am, he signed and left. He did not take anything, including the credit card you left. Yunxi frowned. He has no skills and no money. He must be playing the victim to get my sympathy. She decided to finalize the divorce quickly to avoid any complications. Just as the maid left, her assistant Yang Qi walked in. Miss Yun, he is back. Yunxi looked annoyed, thinking he would not let go so easily. But Yang Qi shook her head. No, the media just caught him with the foreign heiress Liu Boqi. They checked into a hotel and stayed all night. Yunxi's face darkened. He knows Liu Boqi. No wonder he rejected my money. He already found a rich sugar mommy. Annoyed, she called her best friend Shen Wanning to go out to a bar. Meanwhile, at the Capital Sleepless Club, I smirked at the row of beautiful young girls standing in front of me. Liu Boqi was upstairs in a meeting, and fearing I might get bored, she sent her friends to keep me company. Swirling my wine glass, I asked, How old are you girls? They giggled. I am 23, handsome. I am 21. Looking at the friends Liu Boqi brought, I was thrilled. Their looks and figures were stunning, easily rivaling that spiteful woman Yunxi. If she can dump me for her first love, why can't I enjoy my life? I smiled at the beauty beside me and said, Have a drink with me. If I am happy, I will buy you a sports car. Hearing this, she eagerly poured me a drink and slid closer. Cheers, handsome. Seeing my generosity, the other girls showered me with toasts, doing everything to please me. Meanwhile, in an upstairs VIP booth, Yunxi was drinking with Shen Wanning. Shen Wanning suddenly advised Yunxi, You should let go. You have searched for 5 years and even posted a $30 million bounty on the dark web, but there is still no trace of him. Shen Wanning knew Yunxi's resources. If she had not found him by now, he was likely dead. But she dared not say it aloud. Yunxi remained silent, draining her glass. Knowing her temper, Shen Wanning dropped the subject and changed it. Did Shihao really agree to the divorce? Everyone knows how much he adored her. Before we married, he was always chasing her. Later, just to escape her family's pressure, she married me, and I did absolutely everything to please her, offering my whole heart to her. How could he let you go so easily? There has to be a catch. Meanwhile, Yunxi's face turned icy cold as she thought about me and Liu Boqi at the hotel. Suddenly, Shen Wanning pointed downstairs in confusion. Hey, isn't that Shihao down there? She rubbed her eyes. Wait, no, he could never look that handsome and charismatic. Hearing this, Yunxi narrowed her eyes and looked. In the VIP booth, several young, gorgeous girls were crowding around a man. He sat on the sofa, long legs resting casually on the coffee table, swirling his red wine with an effortless, aristocratic vibe. As one of the girls eagerly poured me a drink, I leaned back and flashed her a captivating smile. Yunxi stared at the man, her heart skipping a beat. Is that really? Shihao Shen Wanning rubbed her eyes again, absolutely stunned. No way, it really is him. He is surrounded by so many beauties. Since when is he this charming? Yunxi glared at me, her eyes icy cold. It was bad enough that he was caught at a hotel with Liu Boqi, but now he is openly fooling around in public. Well played, Shihao. While I was chatting happily, I sensed a sharp gaze. Looking up, I saw a familiar figure approaching. My eyes flickered, and I purposely flashed her a playful, mocking smirk. Yunqi pushed through the crowd and stopped right in front of me. Getting wild the second you signed the papers, Shihao. Are you really that desperate? I leaned back on the sofa and smiled. Life is short, darling. Got to enjoy it while it lasts. Yunqi glared down at me, her face freezing over. Behind her, Shen Wanning whispered, Did the rejection break his brain? I just laughed. You flatter me, Miss Shen. I stretched my arms out, draping them over the shoulders of the beauties. Why would I give up the entire forest for one bitter woman? Shen Wanning gasped. Did he just insult Yunqi? Is this really him? Yunqi glared at me, her expression turning incredibly ugly. I was a completely different person now. Meeting her cold gaze, I gave her a provocative smirk. What's wrong, Miss Yun? Am I wrong? Honestly, she looked gorgeous, radiating an untouchable elite aura. She stared at me, her eyes flashing with a dangerous edge. Just then, a large, heavy-set man stumbled over to our booth, reeking of alcohol. Ooh, two beautiful women, fighting over one guy. Why don't you come to Daddy instead? I will show you a good time. Yunqi frowned and stepped back. The drunk guy shoved past her and pushed away the girl sitting next to me. What's so great about this weakling? I could knock him out with one slap with that. His greasy hand reached straight for my collar. A flash of cold anger crossed my eyes. Before his hand could even touch me, I unleashed a brutal slap across his face. The man shrieked, crashing heavily to the floor. You brat! How dare you! I didn't let him finish, planting a hard kick straight into his stomach, sending him flying several feet. Seeing this, his bodyguards rushed me all at once. An excited, dangerous thrill washed over me as I dodged and dropped them one by one. In under 10 seconds, all 5 of them were groaning on the floor. Dusting off my jacket, I sat back down and took a casual sip of my wine. Shen Wanning pointed at me, her jaw on the floor. Shihao, since when can you fight like that? You used to be so gentle and quiet. Was it all just an act? Yunqi stared at me, the coldness in her eyes melting into an intrigued smirk. Her ex-husband was suddenly proving to be far more interesting than she had ever imagined. He was completely submissive during their 2-year marriage, yet he transformed overnight after the divorce. And those fighting moves, why did they look so familiar? Yunqi narrowed her eyes, suspicion creeping in. Seeing the girls standing back, I beckoned them over with a charming smile. Why so far away? Come pour me a drink. But before they could take a step, a freezing glare shot across the room. It was Yunqi. Her icy stare terrified them so much they immediately fled. After all crossing her, the most powerful heiress in the capital was a death sentence. I glanced at her and scoffed. Ruining someone's fun is bad karma. Yunqi. She glared back. Shihao, we are not legally divorced yet. There is a mandatory 30-day cooling-off period. That means we can only finalize it in a month. I let out a cold laugh. Don't tell me you are having second thoughts, Yunqi. She sneered. In your dreams. I poured myself a drink. Perfect. Yunqi stared at me, trying to figure out what had changed. Just days ago, I was begging her in tears not to leave, and now I was a completely different person. What is your relationship with Liu Boxi? She demanded. I raised an eyebrow. I don't need to explain myself to my ex-wife. Just then, Liu Boxi gasped from behind us, sounding hurt. Shihao, you actually married some random woman behind my back. Instantly, the air around Yunqi turned freezing cold. How dare this girl call her a random woman? I shot her a sharp warning glare, and Liu Boxi immediately shut up, sticking out her tongue. I turned back to Yunqi. A good ex-wife behaves as if she doesn't exist. Understand, Yunqi looked ready to punch me, but I ignored her and signaled Liu Boxi to head to another spot. She quickly followed. Yunqi stared at my retreating back, her eyes burning with fury. Suddenly, a thought struck her. How did he know a massive foreign heiress like Liu Boxi? And they seemed so close. 2 years ago, I had total amnesia and spent all my time locked in her private villa. I never worked or went out, so there was no way I could have met Liu Boxi. Suspicions swirling, Yunqi ordered Shen Wanning investigate Liu Boxi. I want to know everything about her connection to Shihao. She paused, then added, and look into his background too. Shen Wanning smirked. Yun, why does it feel like you are the one who got dumped? Meanwhile, I headed straight to my hotel. Telling Yunqi I was going to another club was just a bluff to annoy her. On the way back, Liu Boxi wouldn't stop pestering me about my connection to Yunqi. Exhausted, I explained, she saved my life 2 years ago, and we got married. Now her first love is back, so we divorced. She saved your life. Liu Boxi stared at me in disbelief. I was always the one saving others. Who could possibly save me? My expression turned grim. An assassin was hired to kill me. Her face went pale. Black Shark is East Asia's most notorious hitman ring. They're ruthless, greedy bastards who will do anything for the right price. Recalling my narrow escape in the tropical jungle 2 years ago, a dark shadow crossed my mind. Who on earth hired Black Shark to put a hit on you? Liu Baiki asked. Do you know who is behind this? I shook my head. I had only regained my memory 2 days ago. Give me 2 days, she promised. I will dig them up. I nodded. Sounds good. She suddenly remembered something. By the way, there is a bounty on you online. It is up to $30 million. I raised an eyebrow. $30 million. Who is throwing that kind of cash to end me? They probably want you alive, she added. For that price, they likely need you to save a life. I did not care. The internet was full of posts about me, but nobody dared accept. Back at the hotel, a thought hit me. Did Qingxue still have my jade pendant? When I married Qingxue 2 years ago, I gave it to her as a wedding gift. I had no idea how important it was back then. Now that my memory is back, I deeply regret it. Without it, my future plans are ruined. I had to get it back. The next morning, Shen Wanning brought some files to Qingxue. This is all the info I could find on number 10, she said. Qingxue opened the file, seeing only a few lines. Is this really it? Shen Wanning shrugged. His files are heavily encrypted. We can only see the basic stuff. My ex-wife frowned. She never expected my identity to be locked down like this. No ordinary person would have encrypted files. Qingxue stared at the files, her eyes cold. Just then, her assistant knocked and announced, Miss Yun, Mr. Xu is here. Before she could even finish, I walked right into the office, commanding the room. Qingxue looked up, stunned. A flicker of surprise crossed her face. Shen Wanning, remembering what I did at the Sleepless City last night, took a step back. Ignoring her, I walked straight to Yungxi's desk. Give me back my jade pendant, I demanded. She swallowed hard. What jade pendant, I sneered. I knew she would forget. Back then, she barely looked at it before tossing it aside. I gave you a jade pendant when we got married, I said, my voice cold. Qingxue thought about it. She must have remembered. When she rescued me 2 years ago, that pendant was around my neck, engraved with my name. Leaning back in her chair, she stared at me. You came here just for that. I crossed my arms, obviously. You didn't think I came to beg you to take me back, did you? Her face went cold. I hope not. I scoffed internally. Take her back. Not in a million years. I reached out my hand. Just give it back. She took a sip of her coffee, completely indifferent. I threw it away. My body froze. She threw it away. My priceless jade pendant just tossed out like trash. Why should I keep your garbage? She asked. I slammed my hand on the desk, furious. Where did you throw it? Qingxue. She shrugged. I forgot. I clenched my fists, holding back the urge to smash the room. She saw the flash of fury in my eyes and seemed amused. In 2 years of marriage, she had never seen me this angry. I suddenly smiled. 10 days, Qingxue. Find my pendant or I cancel the divorce. During the 30-day cooling-off period, either of us can withdraw the petition. Her face turned icy. She assumed the pendant was just a cheap excuse I made up to drag things out. My smile only grew wider. As long as I refuse, your precious childhood sweetheart stays a side piece. Qingxue stood up, glaring at me with pure hatred. Listen to me, number 10. This divorce is happening. I sneered. Then find my pendant. If you do not, I will drag the entire Yun group down with me. This is your only warning. I gave her a cold look, turned on my heel, and walked out. Right outside, a blonde guy approached. Song Nanshu. He was the wealthy heir of the Song family and one of Yungxi's persistent simps. He had harassed me for 2 years. He froze when he saw me leave her office, then pointed aggressively. What are you doing here? None of your business, I snapped. Before I played the quiet, submissive husband to make Yungxi happy, swallowing his insults. But those days of playing nice were over. I was not going to take his garbage anymore. He went pale with anger, shocked that the weak loser he knew was talking back. Yungxi divorced you. Why are you still stalking her? I smirked. We haven't finalized the paper's song. Technically, we're still married. He stepped into my space, poking my chest. Who cares? She does not love you. I waved him off. Her feelings do not matter. What matters is, as long as I say no, I am still her husband. You are just holding out for cash. He sneered, tossing a check right at my face. Here's 1 million. Take it and disappear. I narrowed my eyes, slowly picking up the paper from the floor. 1 million to stay away for an hour, I asked. He gaped at me. An hour. I want you gone forever, I scoffed. A measly million. Song, you really are cheap. With a flick of my wrist, the check sliced through the air like a razor cutting his cheek. He cupped his bleeding face, screaming. My face. You cut my face, I am going to kill you. I laughed. You try me. 2 years ago, elite mercenaries couldn't kill me in the jungle. What could a rich brat do? He swung a wild punch at my face, but I caught his fist mid-air. With a loud snap, his arm twisted. He shrieked like a pig and dropped to his knees. My arm. I looked down at him, smiling. Keep pushing me, and it won't just be an arm next time. What are you doing? Yunxi's voice barked from behind. Song Nanshu wailed instantly. Yunxi, help! He is trying to kill me. I turned around, dusting off my hands. Is it not obvious? I am just taking out the trash. Yunxi did not waste words, immediately ordering her staff to take him to the hospital. Apologize to him right now, she commanded. Our families had deep business ties. Song was their golden boy, and breaking his arm would cause trouble. I stared at Yunxi like she was a complete idiot. He is not worth my time. I turned to leave, but she grabbed my arm. I shook her off. Keep your hands to yourself. I am not your obedient little lapdog anymore. Shen Wanning gasped. Yunxi radiated cold fury. Have you lost your mind, number 10? Because I can easily crush you. I smirked. Go ahead and try. Her voice carried a heavy threat. Do not think Liu Baiki can protect you from me. I raised an eyebrow. Are you jealous because someone else has my back now? She looked highly annoyed. If this is some sad attempt at playing hard to get stop. I rolled my eyes. Hard to get. She really thought she was God's gift to humanity. I turned and walked away. She stared at my back, her expression icy. Once I was gone, Shen Wanning finally spoke. Is that really the guy who used to worship you? Did he get possessed? Yunxi was equally baffled by my sudden change. I headed back to the hotel. Soon my phone rang. It was Yun Mengyao Yunxi's bubbly, sweet little sister. She had just heard about the divorce and wanted to make sure I was okay. She invited me out to cheer me up. Mengyao was the only person in that family who ever cared about me. Since I was leaving Kyoto soon, I wanted to thank her. We met up at the mall. I took her straight to her favorite luxury boutique. Half an hour later, she walked out with a rare crocodile leather handbag, completely dazed. She spent big, but even this was a massive shock for her. A 4 million bag was insane. Are you really giving this to me? She gasped, clutching a bag worth an entire apartment. I smiled. Your birthday is next month. Consider it an early present from me. She was thrilled. You are amazing. But wait, where did you get all this money? She knew I left the marriage with nothing, and that I had not worked a single day over the last 2 years. Just some old savings, I said casually. She blinked, then her eyes went wide. Wait, did you get your memory back? I nodded. She gasped, realizing why I had been acting so completely different lately. No wonder you feel like a totally different person. Her eyes sparkled with curiosity. Are you secretly some billionaire's heir? I laughed, shaking my head. Not quite. She grinned, playfully begging me to adopt her. We spent the afternoon buying out almost every luxury brand in the mall. After dinner, she went home with her loot while I returned to my hotel. But shortly after she called me, I answered, but a strange male voice spoke. You are Meng Yao's brother-in-law, right? Get to Yunjin Villa in 30 minutes, or you will be collecting her corpse. The call ended. At the villa, Meng Yao sat on a sofa, hands bound and mouth taped. 2 burly guards watched her every move. The man hung up, turning to them. Untie her hands. Hurry up! Once her hands were free, she ripped the tape off her mouth and stood up. Wen Qingxue, are you insane? You dare kidnap me. In Kyoto, the Wen and Yun families were both massive powers. Our families might have a messy history, but we still talk. Do not move, second miss. I will not hurt you. You are just the bait to make Shu Hao show up. Hearing this, Meng Yao gasped. She only just realized I had ruined Nanshu's face and even broken his hand. Xinchu was Nanshu's best friend. Kidnapping her was a trap to get revenge on me. Meng Yao knew she could not let me walk into this. She lunged to grab the phone, but 2 bodyguards held her back. Wen Xinchu, I am warning you. Shu Hao and my sister are still married. Touch him and she will make you pay. Xinchu sneered. Who are you trying to scare? Word is Yunxi does not care about him at all. Married for 2 years and she never once looked at him, yet he dared to hurt my friend Nanshu. Today I will teach that fool a lesson. Meng Yao grit her teeth in rage. She snatched a cup from the table and hurled it at him. Bullshit. My sister and brother-in-law love each other. Touch a single hair on his head and she will skin you alive. Xinchu dodged the glass and sank into an armchair. Second, miss, I am not easily frightened. Everyone knows Yunxi treats Shu Hao like trash. Why would she ever get mad at me over him? A ruthless gleam flashed in Xinchu's eyes. He broke Nanshu's hand, so I will break both of his. He pointed at his bodyguards. Stand guard at the door. When he gets here, make him crawl in on his knees. Meng Yao lost her temper, rolling up her sleeves to charge at him. You bastard, I will kill you, but the guards grabbed her before she could reach him. Second, miss, I do not want to hurt you, but keep pushing me and things will get ugly. Right then, a loud screech of brakes echoed from outside. Well, that was fast. Xinchu smirked. Meng Yao was panicking, pacing around, praying it was her sister out there, not me. When they forced her into the car, she had managed to text Yunxi for help, but had no idea if she read it. Xinchu crossed his legs, watching the door. But a second later, painful screams echoed from the yard. Xinchu froze. Was it not Shu Hao? Before he could think, the screaming stopped. I stepped through the door, twirling a baton I had just taken from a guard. I looked completely relaxed. Qingxue stared at me, his eyes wide. I stood there, radiating a cold, suffocating pressure. The moment Meng Yao saw me, she screamed, "Brother Shihao, run! Do not worry about me. They will not dare touch me." Qingxue snapped out of his daze and barked to his men, "Shut her up!" Before the words even left his mouth, a shadow flashed past like a cold wind. 2 heavy thuds echoed through the room. Meng Yao, who had been panicking for my safety, saw me effortlessly crush both of her captors. I cracked one over the head with my baton and kicked the other clean across the room. They slammed into the floor unconscious before they could even scream. Realizing he was in trouble, Qingxue panicked and screamed toward the door. "Get in here! Someone help!" I smirked at him. "If you are calling the dozen guys outside, do not waste your breath." Qingxue gasped, staring at me in disbelief. The 20 professional guards he brought were all elite fighters. How did I wipe them out so fast? They did not even last 10 minutes. How was I this strong? My face was an icy mask, my dark eyes radiating pure malice. "You dare touch my people, you must want to die." Qingxue felt completely paralyzed under my gaze, suffocated by my aura. But if he failed to avenge Nanshu, he would never be able to face him again. Screwing up his courage, he stammered, "Shihao, you ruined Nanshu's face and hand. Now scar your own face and break both your hands, and I will let you both leave." I grinned. That was the funniest joke I had ever heard. Meng Yao grabbed my hand. "Brother Shihao, let's go." "Ignore him." I nodded. I looked down at her. Meng Yao waited outside for me. She looked up, worried. "Brother Shihao," I spoke with absolute gentleness. "Be good. Listen to me." She nodded. "Okay." The second she stepped outside, Qingxue screamed in agony. The scream terrified Meng Yao. She was about to run back inside when I walked out. Brother Shihao rushed over, grabbing my hand. "Are you all right?" I smiled. "I am fine." She inspected me, relieved to see not a single scratch. She followed me out. Seeing a dozen bodyguards scattered all over the yard, she gasped, covering her mouth. I had taken down every single one of them. She stared at me with absolute worship, giving me a huge thumbs up. "Brother Shihao, tell me your favorite color, and I will shower you with praise." I laughed. Before I could reply, a black Maybach and a silver Bentley pulled up. "That is my sister." Meng Yao recognized one of the cars and jumped up, waving, "Sis, over here." Both cars stopped. The Bentley door opened and a slender woman stepped out. Yunqi looked at Meng Yao, who was bouncing around like a happy kangaroo, not looking like she had been bullied at all. Then she turned her cold eyes on me. "Why are you here behind me?" She noticed the lit villa and the 2 unconscious guards. I smirked. I did that. I got a call saying I would be collecting her corpse. Meng Yao tugged her arm. "Sis, you have to thank him. If he had not saved me, I would be dead." I waved it off. "Do not thank me. They were actually targeting me." Just as I spoke, a woman stepped out of the Maybach. She was stunning and looked around Yunxi's age. "I am sorry you both were startled," Wen Shunyan said, nodding at us. Meng Yao snorted proudly. Born of the same father, Shunyan was far better looking than her brother. She glanced at the unconscious guards at the door, her face darkening. That brainless idiot actually dared to kidnap sister. He has a death wish. Her assistant nodded and rushed inside, running back out moments later. "Miss, the young master, he... "What about him?" Shunyan demanded. "His left pinky has been severed." He passed out. Shunyan paled. Yungxi froze, her eyes immediately darting to me. Shunyan stared at me. "Did you do this?" I met her gaze, speaking with absolute arrogance. "Yes." Cutting off one finger was letting him off easy. Meng Yao stared at me, shocked. I had actually cut off his pinky. No wonder I told her to wait outside. I did not want to scare her. How could I be so sweet? Shunyan clenched her fist, glaring at me. She had never met me before, but she had heard the rumors. Everyone said Yungxi's husband was a spineless pushover. Yet this supposedly weak man had just severed her brother's finger. "Yungxi, your husband," I cut her off, throwing a cold glance at Yungxi. "We have nothing to do with each other," Shihao Yungxi hissed. Did I want to draw a line between us that badly? Meng Yao looked at her sister. Wasn't she the one forcing the divorce? Why did she look like she got dumped? It made no sense. I rolled my eyes at Yungxi, having no desire to linger. I looked at Shunyan. "Miss Wen, if you want revenge for your brother, I am ready any time. Just a friendly warning, bring more men next time." I climbed into my sports car and roared away like a bullet. By the time Meng Yao reacted, my red taillights were fading in the distance. She practically bounced with excitement. "Sis, I am telling you, he was so cool tonight. He single-handedly trashed all of Qingxue's guards." Yungxi stared after my car, lost in thought. Shunyan recalled my fierce attitude, and a flicker of curiosity sparked inside her. I had severed her brother's finger and walked away without a single scratch. He was definitely not a simple man. Yingxi, your ex-husband really surprises me. Before Yingxi could reply, Meng Yao snapped at Xunyan. Do not get any ideas about my brother-in-law. He and my sister have not officially divorced yet. Xunyan smirked. Then I will wait until they do to chase him. An icy glare flashed in Yingxi's eyes. Do not dare. Xunyan was only joking, but Yingxi's reaction only piqued her interest even more. Just kidding. Since you are divorcing anyway, it is none of your business. Go ahead and try. Yingxi warned, her voice cold. And control your brother. Next time what he loses won't just be a finger. Xunyan nodded. The Wen family was in the wrong tonight. Even if I had not acted, Yingxi would have crushed him. Severing his finger was a good lesson to stop him from ever acting so reckless again. After Yunxi delivered her cold warning, she drove away with Meng Yao. I returned to my hotel. The moment I walked in, Boki rushed over with his laptop. How I found the assassin group's old files. There is one with your name on it containing only a bank account number. Based on that, he found out who wanted me dead 2 years ago. Boki handed me the tablet. When I saw the name, my face fell. The Su Qingxue family. The ones who hired the assassins to kill me were my own family. I could not believe it. As I reached for my phone to call my grandfather, a breaking news alert popped up. Shinan of the Shu family is marrying Miss Zhang. Beneath it was a photo of Shinan and my former fiancé, who was betrothed to me 5 years ago. They were actually getting married. They even took wedding photos. Those bastards, did they think I was already dead? I quickly looked up my family's recent history and found 2 shocking things. First, they announced my death 2 years ago and even threw me a grand funeral. Second, old Mr. Shai suffered a severe stroke from grief and was now paralyzed. Grandfather was the only one who knew my true strength. He would never believe I died unless he saw my corpse. They should not have known about my cliff fall unless they planned it. I stared at the bank account. My parents died when I was young, and my grandfather groomed me as the sole heir. If I died, the second branch would inherit everything. It all made sense now. Boki walked to the bar. He poured me a glass of red wine with a smirk. How I brought plenty of men this time, enough to help you level the Shi family to the ground. I shot him a cold look. Stay out of this. Liu Baiki flopped onto the sofa. What, you're not going to get revenge? I took a sip of the wine. Me, I'm a gentle soul. Liu Baiki snapped his fingers with a relieved grin. 2 years apart, and you haven't changed a bit. Pack your bags. We're heading back to Jincheng tomorrow. The next day, running on 0 sleep, I boarded the plane. I threw on my eye mask and fell asleep. After landing, I napped at the hotel too. I finally woke up at 9 p.m., grabbed dinner, and slipped out under the cover of night. The Shu family China has 6 ancient elite families, split between north and south. Up north in Kyoto, the Suwen and Yun families rule. The Yun family is the strongest of them all. Down south in Jincheng, it was always the Mushu and Jiang families holding the balance of power. But 20 years ago, the Moose mysteriously moved overseas. Meanwhile, internal feuds left the Jiang family crumbling day by day. So today, Jincheng's only truly powerful dynasty is the Shi family. Old Mrs. Jiang and my grandmother were lifelong best friends. She actually saved my life when we were young. Grateful for that, my grandmother supported the Jiangs for years, even wanting our 2 families to unite by marriage. The moment I came of age, I was summoned back to get engaged to Zhang Qingyao. Our engagement party 5 years ago was incredibly high profile and lavish, heavily pushed by both families. The very next day, Jiang stock jumped 5%, and their business has been smooth sailing ever since. Soon I arrived at the old Shu mansion. I parked across the street from the back gate and scaled the wall alone. To my surprise, the bodyguards had been completely replaced, and security was much tighter than before. I made my way toward my grandfather's private villa, but after searching the entire place, there was no sign of him. My grandfather had suffered a stroke, so why wasn't he resting here? Had my second uncle moved him to some care facility? With no sign of him, I prepared to leave, but on my way down, I tripped a sensor and alerted the guards. The alarms began blaring instantly. As a swarm of guards closed in, I bolted up to the 3rd floor, running smack into a man. Without hesitation, I lunged and knocked him cold. I ducked into a guest room to jump from the balcony, but the second I opened the door, a sudden strike came flying at me. Someone was inside. I slammed the door behind me, spun around, and found myself staring at Yunxi. What was she doing here? She was just as stunned to see me. Shahao, why are you here, and how did you trigger so many guards? Outside, urgent footsteps. No time to explain. I slipped into the bathroom and shut the door just as a heavy knock rattled the guest room. Gripping the handle, I listened intently. A guard entered, asking Yunxi if she had seen anyone suspicious. She told them no, and I let out a breath. At least she had some decency not to sell me out. Come on out, her cold voice called once the guards left. I stepped out only for her to demand, "What are you doing here?" I raised an eyebrow with a smirk. I should ask you that. What are you doing in my house? Your house? Yunxi froze. You're a member of the Shi family. Whose house would it be? I noticed a cup of tea on the table, picked it up, and took a sip. Her eyes grew unreadable. The Shi family didn't have anyone named Shi Hao. If I were a Shi, the guards would not fail to recognize me. I set down the empty cup. You'll find out soon enough. No point in talking. I didn't want the Shis knowing I was alive just yet. I tried to walk to the window to check the yard, but my legs suddenly buckled. Thinking I was hurt, Yunxi rushed forward to catch me. I looked up, my face flushed with an unnatural heat. She gasped, suddenly remembering that drink I just had. Shunan's cousin had brought it in earlier. Damn it was drugged. I started clawing my collar as my last shred of sanity burned away in a raging fire. I threw myself into her arms. Her jaw clenched as she grabbed my flailing hands. Shihao, control yourself. But the next second I kissed her. Her blood ran hot with a sudden, overwhelming rush, her heart pounding wildly. This feeling was too familiar, just like that night 5 years ago. Yunxi stared at me, her eyes burning with suspicion. Could it be him? Suddenly I slipped into a dream, reliving that fateful night. I was doing humanitarian aid in South Africa when terrorists raided our hospital. I was captured and blindfolded. No matter how much I begged, that mysterious woman wouldn't let me go. Later that night, I opened my eyes to find Yunxi lying right next to me. I froze. We've been married 2 years and she won't even touch my hand, so how my memories flooded back. Everything from last night became crystal clear. The drug had taken over, and I used Yunxi as my antidote. Seeing her eyelids flutter as she started to wake, I moved with lightning speed, delivering a sharp chop to her neck. She blacked out again the second her eyes opened. Breathing a sigh of relief, I slipped out of bed and escaped the mansion before dawn. Shortly after I left, she woke up and sat up in bed, finding the room completely empty. If not for the crumpled sheets stained with a patch of red and the deep scratch marks on her own shoulders, she would have thought it was all a dream. Rubbing her aching neck, fury flared in her eyes. That damn man had actually slept with her and then knocked her out cold. Just then her phone buzzed twice. She picked it up to find a message from me. Looking at it, her expression turned to pure ice. I had sent her a transfer of $9.99 with a one-word text, terrible. Staring at the money, she radiated absolute fury. What did that bastard take her for? And that rating was a humiliating insult. She squeezed her phone so hard it nearly cracked. Shihao, you better pray I never catch you. Forcing her anger down, she dialed her assistant Yang Shi to come and pick her up. She had only gone there last night to discuss business with my uncle Shi Shunyan. A clumsy maid had spilled tea on her, forcing her to change in the guest room. Remembering the drugged drink, her eyes went cold. Someone dared target her. Shihao, interesting. Her driver arrived shortly. The moment she got into the car, Yang Chi handed her a file from the front seat. Miss Yun has requested I investigated Liu Baiki. Strangely enough, I found absolutely no connection between him and Shihao. She scanned the documents, her expression hardening. There's no way they aren't close. Given Liu Baiki's high status, he'd never bow to him otherwise. Just the thought of me and Liu Baiki being together romantically made her blood boil with frustration. Shihao, what else was I hiding from her? What was my real connection to the Shi family? And what about last night? She pinched the bridge of her nose, pulled out her phone, and called me. It rang for an eternity before finally connecting. On the line, I answered, groggily sounding half asleep. Before she could say a word, Liu Baiki's voice drifted through the speaker. Shihao, who's calling Yunxi, gripped her phone afire, igniting in her chest. Why was Liu Baiki with me so early in the morning? Had we spent the night together? Hearing her voice on the line, I hung up instantly. When she tried to redial, it wouldn't go through. I had blocked her number. Unbelievable, Shihao. Do you think I'm powerless against you? She pursed her lips, a cold smirk playing on her lips. Meanwhile, back at the hotel, Liu Baiki stood by my bed. With a knowing grin, I rolled my eyes at him. Did you find what I asked for, yeah? Elder Shi is being held at a nursing home on the outskirts. I nodded and got dressed to head out. Arriving at the facility, I saw guards stationed outside my grandfather's room. Slipping into the doctor's office when the hallway cleared, I emerged minutes later in a white lab coat and a medical mask. The young master is inside right now, a guard said. You'll have to wait. I nodded, a cold gleam in my eyes. The young master they spoke of was definitely Shunan. Inside the room, Shunan grabbed my grandfather's limp hand and forced his thumbprint onto a contract. With this in hand, once he and Jiang Qingyao married, he'd be the sole heir to the Shu fortune. Standing by the bed, Shunan looked down at my unconscious grandfather and sneered, Grandpa, after my uncle died, you should have named my dad as the successor, not Shihao. You were too biased, always favoring my uncle's side. You spent years grooming Shu Hao to be your perfect successor. And what did that get you? He still died at our hands. Don't blame us for being ruthless. Blame yourself for choosing him. And as if that wasn't enough, you wanted to marry him to my beloved Qingyao. I'd never allow that. Now my dad runs this family, and tomorrow I will. As for Qingyao, she is mine, and she will only ever be mine. Shinan laughed coldly. So rest easy, Grandpa. We'll make the Shi family stronger than ever. Too bad you won't live to see it. Honestly, to avoid suspicion, my uncle wouldn't have kept the old man alive this long. Once the wedding is over, he will outlive his usefulness. Standing outside the door, with my head low, a wave of fury washed over me. It was clear now. My grandfather's stroke was orchestrated by my uncle and Shinan. Moments later, Shinan walked out talking on his phone. The suits are ready. Great, I'm on my way. I watched his retreating back with icy eyes. Their wedding was in 3 days. I needed to plan a special gift for them, something they'd remember for the rest of their miserable lives. Once Shinan cleared out, I slipped into the room. The moment I walked in, I saw my grandfather, for the first time in over 2 years, hooked up to an oxygen mask. He'd always been active and healthy, keeping himself in great shape even in his old age. He used to be tougher than anyone. But now the old man on the bed was nothing but skin and bones, his face deathly pale and completely drained of life. Panic set in. I immediately checked his pulse. After a quick examination, my worst fears were confirmed. It wasn't a stroke at all. He was poisoned. Shishunian, that absolute monster, actually poisoned his own father. He deserves to rot in hell. I forced down my rage. Now wasn't the time for anger. I had to get him out of here. I pulled a small vial from my pocket and poured out 2 pills, slipping them into his mouth. To avoid suspicion, I left the hospital and went to a nearby coffee shop to call Liu Baiki. We quickly drew up an escape plan. Once everything was set, I headed back to the facility. But as I reached the door, I froze. The guards outside were all knocked cold on the floor, and the bed inside was empty. Grandfather was gone. Panic surged. I'd only been gone an hour. How could this happen? Just then my phone buzzed with an incoming text. I opened it and gasped. It was a photo of my grandfather sent from an unknown number. Pure rage surged through me as I instantly dialed the sender back. The second the call connected, I snarled, "Where is my grandfather?" A familiar voice calmly replied, "Mr. Shi, Miss Yun asked me to tell you. If you want to save your grandfather, come to the Yuntan mansion to meet her." My eyes burned red with rage. That snake Yun Shi actually dared to kidnap my grandfather, to threaten me. Also, she said to unblock her number. "Removed from the list," Yang Shi said, hanging up. Yuntan mansion was a premier luxury estate, a staple in every major Chinese city. Right now, Yungxi sat on her living room sofa with a laptop resting on her knees. Her index finger tapped the keys rapidly. She had retrieved the Shi residence's security footage, but major parts were deleted. As she worked on restoring them, Yangxi walked over and said, "Miss I've called Mr. Shi." Yungxi sneered at the news. In less than 30 minutes, I rushed over to Yuntan Mansion. The moment I walked in, I stormed up to her like I was ready to explode. "Yungxi, what did you do to my grandfather?" She closed her laptop and stared at me with a half smile. "Who is your grandfather?" I sneered. "Stop playing dumb. You kidnapped him to threaten me, so you obviously know my identity." Yungxi narrowed her eyes, her lips curving into a smirk. "Should I call you Shihao or Number 10? I clenched my fist, glaring at her. Shihao was my real name, while Number 10 was my alias. I had used it abroad to hide my identity, and over time I just grew accustomed to it. Yungxi continued casually. "The timing of your rescue matches, when the Shi family announced Shihao's death. Based on what you said last night, I bet you are their heir who died 2 years ago." I shrugged, since she already knew I had no reason to hide it. I looked up. "Yes, I am Shihao." She stared at me. "When did you regain your memory?" I replied coldly. "The day you demanded a divorce." She frowned as she remembered that day while I laughed, self-deprecatingly. "Honestly, I should thank you. If not for your coldness, I might still be amnesiac." Her face darkened. "Shihao, do you have to be so hostile?" I snapped back. "I have no reason to be nice to an ex-wife." She was silenced. She stared at me in silence, then suddenly asked, "When did you leave last night?" I froze. Bringing up last night only fueled my anger. Just as I was about to explode, she stepped forward, her sharp eyes scanning me. "When I called this morning, why was Liu Boqi by your side? Don't tell me you two were fooling around all night." Hearing her words, I froze. Once I realized what she meant, my face turned pale. Didn't she know who I was with? Judging by her reaction, she wanted to deny last night entirely. Staring at her, a bitter smile flashed in my eyes. Yes, I was fooling around with her. Yungxi felt like she'd been kicked. He was clearly with her last night. If he left for Liu Boqi, then they... At that thought, she felt an insane rage, wanting to tear Liu Boqi apart. He is my husband, yet he spent the night with another woman. Shihao, how can you be so shameless? I stared back coldly. Yes, I am. Otherwise, would I have chased you like a desperate dog for 2 years? Remembering that time makes me feel utterly pathetic. I've never suffered such humiliation. Her eyes narrowed dangerously. She grabbed my arm, dragging me upstairs. I tried to shake her off, but my foot slipped, and I crashed down. She reached out, but was a step too late, watching helplessly as my head slammed against the table. The sight of blood stung her eyes. She rushed to help, but I glared at her. Get lost! Don't touch me! Clutching the wound on my forehead, I leaned weakly against her shoulder, too exhausted to struggle. Panicking, she yelled, Yang Qi, call a doctor now. Soon Yang Qi brought the family doctor. Upon checking me, the doctor said the cut was quite bad and needed stitches. I hadn't rested since taking that drug, and after all this chaos, my head throbbed painfully. Exhausted, I drifted off. Yang Qi watched the doctor stitch me up, slowly calming down. What was wrong with her? Why was she so out of control? Was it really just because Shu Hao was with Liu Boqi? They had both been drugged, leaving her memory of last night a blur. Back then wasn't staying with her. His best choice. Yet he chose to run to Liu Boqi instead of staying with her. She hated to admit she was insanely jealous. Suddenly Yang Qi walked in. Miss Xu Xunyan sent a maid over. He claims they found she was the one who drugged your tea last night. Yang Qi sneered. She knew it wasn't that simple. Xu Xunyan was likely just throwing her a scapegoat. Keep her, but keep investigating, she ordered. When I woke up again, the sky was pitch black outside. I instinctively wanted to touch my bandaged forehead, but a cool hand caught mine. Looking at Yungxi's punchable face, I felt like cursing. Yungxi, how exactly did I offend you for you to treat me like this? She sat in silence as I glared. Yungxi, we are divorced. Do you understand? An ex-wife should act like one. Ex-wife, again, hearing those words made her blood boil. Didn't he love her? Did regaining his memory wipe out his feelings? She gripped my hand tightly. Shihao, we are still in the cooling-off period. I can withdraw the application any time. Hearing this, I panicked. Yungxi, don't play games. You demanded the divorce, now you want to back out. Who do you think I am? She stared at me. If you push me, I'll do anything. Don't forget your grandfather's still in my hands. I had almost forgotten. He was still in her grasp. I grabbed her collar. Yungxi, if you touch him, I won't let you off. How dare she threaten me with him? In my anger, my head throbbed. Take it easy, she said, holding my shoulders. I've already sent your grandfather back to Kyoto with a top medical team for the best care. You don't have to worry. She had a feeling that if I left Kyoto, I might never return. To keep me, this was the simplest, most direct way. As long as my grandfather was in Kyoto, I'd return eventually. I clenched my fists and glared. Yungxi, what on earth do you want? No one is this nice without an angle. She smiled, paused for a moment, and said, Shihao, I don't want a divorce anymore. I froze. Staring at her, I asked mockingly, what about your white moonlight? Don't tell me you want to play both sides. What nonsense. She snapped, her face darkening. The lead was wrong. We didn't find him. My smile froze. No wonder she changed her mind. She couldn't find him. My expression grew cold as I stared at her. Yungxi, I am not a dog you can summon and discard at will. Don't treat me as a substitute. She frowned. I never saw you as anyone's replacement. I waved her off. Whatever you say, we're done. I looked at her coldly. I added, a forced relationship won't work, Yungxi. She glanced at me calmly. I'll only know if it works after I try. I was speechless, feeling an indescribable annoyance rise. How did I never realize she was this shameless? Seeing me about to speak, she cut me off. Shihao, I just want your grandfather to be safe. Threatening me with my grandfather again? Fine, Yungxi, you win. If we don't divorce, we don't. I'll just ignore you. To me, her change of heart was just a passing whim, driven by a sudden interest. The more I fought her, the more she'd want to conquer me. If I reverted to being obedient, she'd lose interest soon. At this thought, I fell silent. She checked the time. Are you hungry? Want some food? I shook my head. Not hungry. I want to rest. I lay down and pretended to sleep. She turned and walked out. Just as she went downstairs, my phone on the coffee table rang. She picked it up and saw the caller ID dog Liu Boqi. She gripped the phone tightly, radiating a cold aura. Eventually she answered. Liu Boqi's voice came through. Shihao, I'm at the nursing home. Why don't I see you? Where are you, Shihao? Yungxi's icy voice rang out. Shihao is with me. On the other end, Liu Boqi froze, then yelled, Yungxi, you bastard, where did you take him? Her tone remained completely flat. Shihao is my husband, so naturally he is with me. Liu Boqi countered immediately. Yungxi, are you shameless? Do I need to remind you that you two are divorced and you initiated it? She paused, her voice turning icy. So what? Until we sign the papers, Shihao is still my husband. Liu Boqi, I'm warning you to stay away from him." She hung up before Liu Boqi could reply. Just then, Yang Qi walked over. "Miss, the security footage from the Shi residence is restored and sent to your phone." Hearing this, she quickly checked her phone. Soon she saw the footage of me leaving the villa at 5:36. There was also a deleted clip of the second-floor hallway showing Ling Xiaojian entering her room. The timestamp showed the time was 5:56. Looking at these two clips, she suddenly realized something, her eyes lighting up. When she woke up this morning, it was just past 6, less than an hour after I left. Meanwhile, Ling Xiaojian had only entered after I left, so the person with her last night was actually me. She desperately tried to recall last night, and blurry images began to resurface. She remembered it was Shihao. The person with her last night was indeed me. She had misunderstood me. She looked upstairs with deep regret. Why didn't I explain? Was she really so unimportant to me that I couldn't be bothered to say a word? Watching her lost in thought, Yang Qi spoke up. "Miss, our people have investigated. The drug was provided by Shishunian, and he was the one who slipped it into the tea. The person he sent over is just a scapegoat." She closed the video, her expression freezing over. "Announce our decision. We are suspending all cooperation with the Shi family, and we won't work with any of their partners." Realizing I hadn't eaten yet, she instructed a maid to brew some porridge and prepare 2 light side dishes. Before she could finish, a panicked voice echoed from upstairs. "Oh no, Mr. Shi," jumped out the window and ran. She rushed into my bedroom, but I was already gone. Having escaped her villa, I ran into Liu Boqi, who was coming to rescue me. Learning that she took my grandfather hostage to block the divorce, Liu Boqi was furious. Sure how, if all else fails, she made a throat-slitting gesture, just finish her off. "You can be single as a widower." I rubbed my temples. "Seriously, she saved my life after all. That's not right." She rolled her eyes. "I'm just teasing." "Since when does a ruthless guy like you care about what's right, Shihao? I think you've fallen for her." I tightened my jaw and said nothing, though I hate to admit it, but deep down I still have feelings for Yunxi, even after getting my memory back. Seeing me quiet, Liu Boqi said, "Number 10, she is not like us." I cut him off. "No need to remind me, I know. That is exactly why I want to end this. I am definitely divorcing her." Restless, I returned to the hotel, changed, and went out to blow off some steam. She tracked me down and came looking for me. Who knew? Just as she reached the hotel, she saw me walk out and hop into a sports car. She ordered her driver to follow. Half an hour later, I parked at a low-key bar, and she watched me head inside. She followed me right in. High Street is famous for its bars, but beneath it lies a hidden underground fight club, accessible through that low-key bar. When she pushed open the door, the stench of alcohol hit her. It was only 3 a.m. The bar was wild at 3 o'clock. The dance floor was packed, the flashing lights were hypnotic, and heavy metal music blasted. She scanned the room but could not find me. A waiter eyed her up and down before asking what she wanted. She did not say a word, just pulled a transparent card from her bag. The waiter took it, verified the code at the bar, and returned it. He then led her toward the elevator to basement level 3, telling her to turn left and go straight. She nodded and got in. The elevator went straight to the 3rd basement level. As the doors opened, a wave of roaring cheers washed over her. Stepping out, she saw a massive boxing ring with a giant electronic screen hanging above it. It displayed a photo of the reigning champion Qin and his fight record. The surrounding stands were packed with wealthy locals and foreigners. Everywhere she looked, people were buzzing with wild excitement. She headed straight up into the stands. From the top VIP deck, she scanned the crowd, but still could not find me. Did she guess wrong? Was I not here? Suddenly a voice complained, "Are you kidding?" A newcomer, who is crazy enough to challenge Qin. "He must want to die. He is going to get pulverized. I bet he will not last 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Try 3. No, 1 minute. Qin will knock him out with one single punch." Hearing the chatter, she looked up and saw a name flash on the big screen. Her eyes widened. It was Yan Li. Even though she rarely visited underground rings, she knew of this legendary fighter who dominated Europe years ago. In just 2 years, he built a mythic legacy that people there still whisper about. She couldn't believe her luck encountering a legend like Yan Li in a local ring. Then someone screamed, "Holy crap, Yan Li, am I freaking blind?" No way, he retired years ago. Why would he be here? Anyone who knew the scene knew his name. He was the ultimate boss of the boxing world, a living legend who made his name when he was just 18. With explosive iron fists, he swept through Europe undefeated from his debut to his retirement. His 2-year record remains unmatched to this day. The crowd was utterly stunned. Soon the referee stepped into the ring. Qin followed right behind him. The crowd held their breath, staring eagerly at the opposite tunnel. Seconds later, a figure wearing a gold mask stepped out. He looked somewhat slender, but his sharp, icy eyes showed no fear. The arena erupted. The screen above the ring flashed the rising betting pool, skyrocketing from hundreds of millions into the billions and counting. Standing in the crowd, she watched in utter shock. Even though I wore a mask, she recognized my build instantly. "Number 10, get down here," she screamed at the top of her lungs, shoving through the crowd. Did I lose my mind? I was injured just hours ago. Yet here I was, stepping into a brutal fight. "Number 10, get down." She desperately tried to reach the ring, but the crowd was too hyped up for her to push through. The bell rang, and I lunged like lightning. In a flash, my fierce punch caught Qin right in the face. But he was tough. Shaking off the blow, he reacted instantly and swung a heavy fist aimed straight for my head. Her heart leaped into her throat. I dodged it with ease. Leaping into the air, I spun to his side and drove a brutal punch into his ribs. Qin groaned in pain, nearly buckling. The crowd roared, the atmosphere growing wilder by the second. The air was thick with pure madness. Driven mad by rage, Qin swung wildly, but I slipped every blow. As the rounds went on, he grew helpless. After a dozen exchanges, he was bleeding, his face swollen like a balloon. Meanwhile, I was untouched. Not a single hair on my head was out of place. This wasn't a match. It was a total one-sided beatdown. It ended quickly. Within 10 minutes, my spinning back kick sent him flying out of the ring. He crashed down, completely knocked out. The arena exploded with deafening cheers, everyone chanting my name. I stood in the center under a single spotlight as my face filled the big screen. No one doubted my identity now. I can't believe I saw the legendary boss fight in person. What insane luck is the master making a comeback? I'm losing my mind. The crowd screamed, showering me with absolute adoration and worship. Everyone except for her. Looking at me on the screen, her heart suddenly ached. Why did my eyes look so hollow, completely detached from the world? Since stepping into the ring, my fists had never relaxed, not even once. My lips were pressed tight as if I were holding back some deep pain. Something was wrong. The deafening noise irritated me. I looked up at the stands mechanically and caught a glimpse of a familiar figure. I glanced away and left. Stepping out of the bar, I found her waiting by my car. How did she get here? So that really was her in the underground arena. Did she recognize me? She waved as I approached, but my gaze remained freezing cold. I had blown off some steam, but seeing her brought back that familiar irritation. When I didn't budge, she marched over. "What do you want?" I asked. "I should be asking you that," she snapped, grabbing my wrist tightly. "Number 10, do you have any idea what you just did? Did you forget you're injured?" She hadn't realized I was such a lethal fighter. Seeing me up there, she only worried about my wounds, terrified I would get hurt. Her heart was in her throat, wishing she could fly up and drag me down. I stared at her coldly, a mocking smirk playing on my lips. "If you didn't mention it, I actually forgot." She grit her teeth, utterly frustrated. "Don't forget, I still have your grandfather." Coldness flashed in my eyes as I muttered under my breath, "You absolute witch." I really wanted to crush her. "Get in," she said, opening the door. I glared and reluctantly got inside. As she drove, she kept glancing at me, pretending to sleep, her eyes full of curiosity. "Number 10, just how many identities do you have?" she suddenly asked. Wealthy air champion fighter, legendary Yan Li. Who was I really? I opened my eyes, guarded and cold. "Take a guess." She rolled her eyes. "Tell me whenever you're ready." By the time we got back to her villa, dawn was breaking. My forehead wound had reopened, so I patched it up. I took 2 anti-inflammatory pills. After eating breakfast, I lazily turned on the television only to catch an interview featuring Shinan and Su Qingxue. Our families have been close for generations, and our business partnerships never stopped. Now that we are united by marriage, our cooperation will naturally grow even tighter. There were even rumors of a merger. Shinan gently held Jiang Qingyue's hand. "I am not quite sure about the details. Our fathers are handling the discussions." Jiang Qingyue chimed in, "Everyone will find out on our wedding day." The interview continued, painting a picture of a perfect match. But the moment the host mentioned the name number 10, Jiang Qingyue frowned in clear annoyance. "I always saw number 10 as an older brother. Our engagement was purely due to family pressure. I planned to call it off once we grew up, but destiny had other plans." Beside her, Shunan hung his head, acting deeply grieved. "My cousin was so tragic." Shunan sighed before turning a tender gaze to his fiancée. "Our marriage has nothing to do with business. Qingyao is the only one I have ever loved. We are marrying simply because of love." I stared at the pathetic couple on screen, a cold laugh escaping my lips. Simply because of love? What a joke. Qingyao must have forgotten how desperately she chased me back then. I never loved her, but this made me look desperate. I couldn't just swallow this insult. Besides, I wanted to see exactly how deep their love really was. Just as I was plotting, a voice echoed from outside. "I am Mr. Lin, a friend of Yunxi's. Please tell her I am waiting." I raised an eyebrow. Lin, I recalled Shanann's cousin had that name. Turning around, I saw the maid leading a man decked out in luxury brands inside. He clearly didn't expect to find another man living in Yunxi's villa. Seeing me in pajamas, his face darkened instantly. "Who are you?" he demanded, pointing a finger at me. The maid introduced us. "This is our lady's husband," he gasped in disbelief. "Wait, what?" This was Yunxi's secret husband. Weren't the rumors saying her hidden husband was hideously ugly? The guy standing here was anything but ugly. "So you're the husband," he said quickly, recovering his composure. He smiled gracefully, his tone dripping with mockery. "Actually, ex-husband." He had already heard from a friend that Yunxi divorced her husband. He wasn't about to be intimidated by a guy who got dumped. With that thought, he looked down his nose at me. "She divorced you? Why are you still lingering here?" "Why on earth would I cling to her?" I sighed, putting on a troubled look. "Who said I'm the one chasing her? Clearly, she is the one hopelessly obsessed with me, sticking to me like glue and refusing to let me go." Hearing this, Ling Xiaojian pointed at me and shrieked, "What utter nonsense! Look at yourself! How dare you claim that Yunxi is obsessed with you? You're completely delusional." I let out a yawn, waved my hand lazily, and ordered my guards to throw him out. I hadn't slept all night and was exhausted. Standing up to head upstairs for a nap, I left Ling Xiaojian pale with rage. Ling Xiaojian walked up and pointed right at my nose. "You're just some discarded trash. How dare you act tough in front of me?" "Let me tell you, I'm Yunxi's future husband." I raised an eyebrow and grabbed his hand. "You, her husband." "Dream on." He quickly pulled out his phone, showing what he took yesterday while Yunxi was still asleep. "See for yourself. If some guy in black hadn't burst in and interrupted us that night, I would have slept with her already. But with these photos, she can't back out now." I glanced at his screen as my face slightly darkened. In the photo, Yunxi was fast asleep while Ling Xiaojian held her closely in his arms, smiling sweetly. "When on earth did they..." Before I could even process what I was seeing, Ling Xiaojian pointed a finger in my face again, looking incredibly smug. "Open your eyes and look closely. I'm about to become the Yun family's son-in-law. When that happens, you won't even be fit to carry my shoes. I absolutely loathe people pointing at me, especially someone this arrogant." I grabbed his wrist and twisted it hard. A loud crack echoed. Ling Xiaojian collapsed, clutching his wrist in agony. I smirked. "You think crawling into her bed makes you her husband? Let me tell you, as long as I'm breathing, you don't stand a chance." "Well said." Yunxi's voice suddenly echoed from behind, followed by a slow, amused round of applause. I turned to see Yunxi walking downstairs with a smile. My words had clearly amused her. Snorting, I crossed my arms and sat back down on the sofa. I wanted to see exactly how she planned to handle this homewrecker right in front of me, her husband. Ling Xiaojian looked up at her, thrilled. Yunxi. Her eyes narrowed coldly. "I was going to deal with you in a couple of days, but you just had to come here and beg for death." What she hated most was that he actually took photos. He was dead meat. Sensing the chilling aura radiating from her, Ling Xiaojian began to tremble. "No, Yunxi, let me explain. I just missed you so much. I wanted to see you." She sneered, refusing to waste another second on someone so insignificant. "Take him away. Lock him up and give him some special treatment until he's ready to tell the truth." The bodyguards instantly barked, "Yes, ma'am." Terrified, Ling Xiaojian screamed out, "No, Yunxi, please. I was wrong. I shouldn't have taken those pictures. Yunxi, save me." He thrashed and begged, but the guards showed no mercy. They dragged him out as his screams faded into the distance. I looked at her with a mocking smile. "You shared a bed with him, yet you're so ruthless." She shot me a look and explained, "The night before last you left early. He snuck in before I woke up. He took those photos but never touched a single hair on my head. We have absolutely nothing to do with each other." Hearing her explanation made me feel a bit better, but I stayed stubborn. "Save your breath. I don't care." I walked upstairs, but in bed, sleep eluded me. I pulled the blanket over my head, holding my breath, to block out the sharp pain in my chest. I counted my heartbeats one by one. Damn it, the toxin in my blood was acting up again. It hadn't flared up once during my 2 years of amnesia. Suddenly, a soft body pressed against mine. I flinched as a pair of delicate hands reached in. "Shihao, are you trying to suffocate yourself?" Yunxi scolded, pulling me out of the blanket. Seeing my face completely flushed, she looked both angry and worried. I looked back, my eyes flickering. Whenever the poison flared up, I just wanted to hide in the dark. Seeing me silent, Yunxi quietly started taking off her clothes. My gaze went blank. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Is she planning to sleep with me?" She raised an eyebrow, wrapped her arms around me, and said, "Sleeping." My nerves instantly shot up. I bolted upright and glared at her in anger. Meeting my furious gaze, she let out a playful, suggestive smile. Her fingers gently trailed down my chest. If you don't want to sleep, I can keep you busy with other things. She paused, her fingers tracing my cheek, like what we did the other night. I snapped immediately. Are you out of your mind? We've been married for 2 years, and you wouldn't even let me hold your hand. Now we're divorcing, and you pull this? She stared at the hickey on my neck. I'm sorry. When I woke up at the Shu residence, you were gone. My head was fuzzy, and I barely remembered anything. I thought you abandoned me for Liu Boqi, but the security footage showed you left in the morning. I cut her off. We're adults, Yungxi. It was just a mutual thing. Yungxi frowned. Even though she was the one who lost out, she suddenly felt like she was being used and abandoned. She stared at me, dead serious. Aren't you going to take responsibility for me? I sneered. I gave you plenty of chances over the years. You just never cared. It's too late now. She stared deep into my eyes. My touch last night felt too familiar, and she wanted to confirm something. I sighed, pulled out my phone to transfer some money, and said, Fine. How much do you want? Her brow furrowed as I continued, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000. Since she kept quiet with a dark face, I frowned in mock disgust. The most expensive female models in the capital only cost 100,000 a night. Is 200,000 not enough? Yungxi nearly exploded. She couldn't believe I was treating her like a paid model. I just gave her a dismissive look. Forget it then. Either way, I'm not taking responsibility. Just looking at her irritated me, so I rolled over, giving her my back to clear my mind. Yungxi silently stared at me. That familiar feeling grew stronger. After a while, hearing my steady, quiet breathing, she figured I was asleep. Needing to be absolutely sure, she gently lifted the hem of my shirt to expose my back. As she stared at it, a wave of disappointment washed over her and she sighed. Even though my touch the other night felt exactly like that night 5 years ago, I wasn't him. After all, my back lacked the tattoo. She softly lowered my shirt, her cold eyes filled with complex emotions as she gazed at my profile. After a moment, she wrapped her arms around me and left a tender kiss on my neck. It's fine if you're not him, she murmured. Just then, I shifted slightly, rolling over to snuggle into her chest. Fast asleep, it was hard to connect me to the formidable cold fighter I usually was. Staring down at my face, Yungxi's heart raced wildly, her cheeks burning up. She quickly got up and headed to the bathroom. After a cold shower, she wanted to slip back into bed with me, but suddenly loud shouting erupted from downstairs. Stepping out onto the balcony, Yungxi spotted Liu Boqi flanked by a dozen bodyguards in black surrounding the villa's entrance. Yungxi, get your ass out here. Waking up to find me gone from the hotel, Liu Boqi had checked the security cameras. He realized I'd driven to the underground ring for a brutal fight. Having known me for nearly 8 years, he knew me too well. Running off to fight in secret usually meant my condition was acting up. After I ignored his calls, he traced the bar's cameras and saw Yungxi take me. Skipping breakfast in a rage, he marched his men straight to her villa. Stop playing dead, Yungxi. I know you're in there. If you don't hand Shihao over right now, I'm breaking in. You're already divorced, yet you're still clinging to him. Have some shame. His voice was nearly hoarse by the time Yungxi finally walked out. He instantly lunged forward. He's still sleeping. She cold-shouldered him. And is Shihao a name you're allowed to call? Liu Boqi glared at her, suddenly noticing she was in her pajamas. If she said I was still sleeping, did that mean they had just been in bed together? Fury consumed him. If it weren't for the iron gate separating them, he would have ripped her apart on the spot. Don't think you can use Elder Shi to bind Shihao to you, Yungxi. He never takes threats from anyone. Crossing his arms, Liu Boqi declared with absolute confidence, You two are getting divorced sooner or later. Yungxi's face darkened, her expression turning incredibly icy. Seeing her grim expression, Liu Boqi pulled a pen and a checkbook from his bag. Just name your price. How much will it take for you to divorce him? Yungxi sneered. Did she look like she needed cash? Why was everyone trying to throw money at her today? When she stayed silent, he continued. Right, I forgot you aren't short on cash. How about this? I'll give you a diamond mine. You can't buy that with mere money. Hey, Yungxi, I'm not finished yet. Don't you dare walk away. Ignoring him completely, she walked back inside and immediately phoned his powerful older sister, Liu Ruyan. Within minutes, Liu Boqi received the dreaded call. What, I have to go back to the office right now, but fine, I'll return immediately. Hanging up, he shot me a quick message saying he had urgent business to handle, then rushed his men to the airport. Yungxi stood on the balcony with a wine glass, watching him flee in a panic, a smug smile on her lips. I rested well at her place. After 2 days of solid rest, the wedding day of Jiang Qingyao and Shinan finally arrived. Both being the sole heirs of their respective families, they were hailed as a real-life prince and princess. The wedding was held at Jincheng's most luxurious venue. The venue was the prestigious Pixie Manor. Guests included prominent families, business tycoons, and political elites. The grand event was highly publicized, inviting media coverage and even a live broadcast. Wow, the church setup is so dreamlike it looks just like a fairy tale castle. So romantic, I heard their wedding rings are worth hundreds of millions. I can't wait to see how stunning the bride looks. Online viewers flooded the live stream chat with comments looking even more excited for the ceremony than the groom himself. As time ticked by, all the guests took their seats. At exactly 11 a.m., the ceremony officially commenced. A solemn priest delivered the opening remarks, and then the groom, Shinan, walked up in a sharp suit as a beautiful melody began to play. The heavy church doors slowly swung open. Standing there was Su Qingxue in a custom diamond-studded white gown looking absolutely elegant and breathtaking. Shinan smiled as their eyes met a wave of profound satisfaction wash over him. After waiting so many years, this was his day. He was finally marrying her. His father was right, man triumphs over fate. Even if Su Qingxue was my fiancée, so what? In the end, she was becoming his wife. Smiling proudly, Shinan raised his chin and walked down the aisle toward her. They met in the middle of the red carpet and walked arm in arm to the priest. Mr. Shinan, do you take Miss Su Qingxue to be your lawfully wedded wife to have and to hold in sickness and in health, for richer or for poorer? To love, cherish, and be faithful to her forever? Su Qingxue squeezed Shinan's hand, gazing at him with deep affection. Right then, the heavy church doors were violently kicked open from the outside, causing everyone in the crowd to spin around. I stood right there in the doorway, silhouetted against the bright light. My demeanor was cold and imposing, my appearance completely flawless. I was like a brilliant full moon rising in the pitch-black night. The moment I appeared, even the brightest spotlights instantly faded. Even the stars would pale in comparison. Holy crap, is that phantom thief kid? Is he here to steal the bride? His outfit totally outshines the groom. Why does he look so familiar? Step by step, I walked into the church, my presence, aura, and sharp looks leaving the entire crowd utterly speechless. As I stepped further inside, Shinan and Su Qingxue finally saw my face. Shinan stared at me, his eyes wide with absolute disbelief. How could it be him? Didn't he die 2 years ago? Why is he still alive? It makes no sense. I let out a confident, easy smile. 2 years, cousin. Don't you recognize me? Shinan pointed at me, trembling. Shihao, you are still alive. Beside him, Su Qingxue stared at me, looking like she had been struck by lightning. The entire Zhang family stood there, their faces turning incredibly pale. I gave a mocking smile. Did my survival disappoint you all? Then I turned to the guests. Hello, everyone. I am the Shu family's eldest grandson. 2 years ago, I was ambushed and injured. Some cowards spread rumors that I had died, but I am back to let everyone know that the sole heir of the Shi family, Shihao, is very much alive. Beside me, my uncle Shi Shunyan glared with a furious face. If I lived, his dream of the inheritance was completely ruined. He took a deep breath, hiding his rage, and stood up with fake warmth. Xiaohao, thank goodness you are alive. You have no idea how heartbroken your uncle was 2 years ago. I looked at him with an icy stare. Is that so? I did not know you cared so much about me, uncle. Shi Shunyan smiled awkwardly, reaching out to me. You are my nephew, of course I care. Today is your cousin's wedding day. Let us go home and talk. He was desperate to protect the ceremony. I brushed his hand away, my eyes slowly scanning Shinan and Su Qingxue. Uncle, family matters can wait. But as for other things, Shinan's heart sank. He was terrified I had returned to steal Su Qingxue back, and he was determined not to let me. Believing this, Shinan quickly spoke up. Shihao, I am sorry. I know you and Qingxue were engaged, but we all thought you were dead. She loves me now, and I love her. Please, just let us be. My uncle chimed in quickly. Yes, they did nothing wrong. They only got together after you were gone. For the sake of their true love, please just let them be. I looked at them and smiled. Do not worry, I did not come to crash your wedding. Shinan's eyes lit up. Really? Then I pulled out a ring and handed it to Su Qingxue. This is the token from our engagement 5 years ago. Since you and Shinan are in love, our engagement is over. We go our separate ways. She took the ring stunned. She expected me to beg or make a scene or at least ruin their wedding day. Instead, I called it off gracefully and returned her ring. Shinan looked at me with pure relief. Brother Shihao, thank you. Beside him, my uncle put on a fake, flattering smile. I knew you were a sensible boy. Have a seat. Not so fast, I interrupted. I turned my gaze to the Zhang family. Mr. and Mrs. Zhang, since the engagement is off, our family business partnership is officially canceled. Also, about the $1 billion we gave you as a betrothal gift. I expect it back within 1 week. Jiang and Yu, her father, bolted upright from his seat. The partnership was arranged by Elder Shi. You have no right to cancel it. Her mother stood up, too glaring sharply at me. That $1 billion was a gift from Elder Shi. Why on earth should we return it? I looked at them coldly, completely unfazed. Mr. Jiang, you must be joking. As the sole heir of the Shi family, I own 40% of the company shares. Do I not have the right to cancel a contract? As for that $1 billion, it was my personal money and the bank transfer was clearly marked as a betrothal gift. Now that the engagement is off, you must return it. If you have doubts, call your lawyer. Hearing this, Jiang's mother's eyes darted. Instantly, she put on a warm smile and grabbed my hand. Shihao, I know you are still upset, but actually, she and Shinan have not even registered their marriage yet. This wedding. Hearing this, Shinan panicked. Mom, what is that supposed to mean? She looked at him with a fake smile. Xiaonan, you and Qingyao are not married yet. Is it not a bit early to call me Mom? If I had not returned, Shinan would be the sole heir and marrying him would benefit her family. But now that I am alive, I am the true master of the Shi family. Shinan does not even compare to me. If that is the case, she might as well marry me instead. Shinan's face turned pale with humiliation. Jiang's mother pulled her daughter close. Qingyao, I think you and Shihao are the perfect match. Hurry up and apologize to him. Today's wedding is officially canceled. My uncle almost lost his mind, but Jiang Anyu whispered something in his ear. They exchanged a silent, knowing look and went quiet. Jiang's mother gave her daughter a hard nudge. Qingyao, what are you waiting for? Apologize to Shihao right now, and put this ring back on his finger. Jiang Qingyao glanced at Shinan, running the numbers in her head. She liked him, but if he was not the heir, he was suddenly worthless to her.